Okay, I think that'll do it. Good evening, guys. It's been a bit, but I've been very busy with work and being tired and doing a bunch of other things. But here I am. How are you guys? It's me. I'm just here getting ready, setting things up. Had a long day. Been very sleepy, especially back from a long weekend. And so now I'm gonna spend some time working some more on my Northumbrian tin characters, which I should be done with very soon, hopefully. And then I can get back to working on High Fleet Phyrexia for my Leviathan Tyranids. Because I think I found a system for them that works okay. They're obviously still very rough, but they're in a position where I feel like, unless I decide to go much further with the detail, they read pretty clearly as, you know, Magic the Gathering inspired, Phyrexian inspired Tyranids. And I honestly like a lot how striking the color difference is, and how much it matches up pretty well with the key art from March of the Machines and the Elish Norn themed Phyrexians. So I'm just gonna keep working on that, I suppose. But right now, the thing that I'm working on is that these guys, they're not done, but they're getting real close. The last thing I really want to do is give some of their stuff a quick dry brush, like the rocks, the dirt, just to add a little more dimension to the figures. I don't really feel like I need to highlight them all at all, because they're pretty intentionally meant to be dirty. But I guess I'll see what I come up with very soon. My whole point with them is that I wanted them to look like they've been rolling around in the mud. And I think, by and large, I accomplished that. Everything just looks like, you know, a bit filthy. And I'm pretty okay with that, you know? Nothing about Turnip 28 is meant to be pretty, and I'm happy that I'm able to contribute to that filthiness with these lovely lads. So I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna use some Vallejo model color buff, because in general it's just a pretty decent color for doing the terrain. And then I'm going to move on and use probably some grays for the rocks, and then some buff on top of that, because everything needs to look like it's covered in a fine mist of mud and dirt. And so hopefully I'll be able to accomplish that pretty handily with the dry brush job that I'm about to do. So this should fairly readily, yeah, see, that just needs a couple of little swoops with the dry brush to already look much more pulpy and muddy. And these I can dry brush down a little bit more. Wow, some of this flocking needs to be dry brushed down a bit. But yeah, it's still meant to look dirty. It's still meant to look ugly. I shouldn't take too much time with these guys, because all it is touching up their terrain. But it's going to do a lot to kind of bring out the model. And actually, to be completely honest, this might be a little bit too yellowy. I might go back with like a darker brown and kind of knock that down a bit, because this does seem to create a very harsh color contrast. So this might not be the final pass on these guys. And to be honest, that's probably fine. And since this is parchment, let's go ahead and hit the parchment a little bit to brighten that up. Not too bright, mind you. Just enough to show that there's highlights to it. But yeah, I want this all to look muddy and awful, like it's just a bunch of peasants on a sodden dirt road. And I might actually add some more flocking to these things, but I'm really not sure. So let's go ahead and do some of this dry brushing. And then I might go back with a brown mixture, which will probably cover up some of this highlight, which is fine, but will also kind of complement the highlight with a slightly darker color that blends back down into the dark brown base. Oh, there's the lad. There's that horrible little bulldog-y, goblin-y lad. All in all, these were an incredible joy to paint. I had a lot of fun, and it really made me want to buy more of them. I really felt like Northumbrian Tin absolutely nailed the look of these guys. They've got so much personality and so much character, and they've got enough, you know, high spots and low spots and mid spots that they're just an incredible joy to just put the paint on. There's enough variance in them, there's enough personality in them that you can have a lot of things to play around with. Oh, I didn't even paint this thing. Let's get that down. And I think all in all, that's pretty darn fun. So, hopefully... Did I get you? Yeah, I got you already. Hopefully, these will continue to just look like very good, scraggly, slightly or incredibly downtrodden louts to use as part of a Turnip 28 game. And they're still unique enough that I could use them for pretty much anything else. Like, I think these guys would make just great guardsmen minis for a D&D campaign if I were to ever run one again in person with physical minis. But yeah, I'm pretty digging how these guys have come out. I'm pretty happy with them. Okay, the big guy needs to go on the bigger stand. So let's go ahead and put him on here. I think I might also repaint that coin purse, just because it's a very strange color and it blends too deeply in with the rest of the dirt. And I think that was intentional when I first did this, but now that I'm looking at it, I kind of wish it were a slightly different color to really show that it's, you know, leather or such. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to paint it over with that. That might help. Yeah, and then when I knock this back down with a brown, that's really going to look okay. There we go. And now, I can add some brown back to it, and that should do a decent job of balancing out between the overly light highlight and the midtone. Maybe just a little. Who knows? I'm not firing on all cylinders tonight, guys. I'm really sorry. Like, I'm not going to pass out the middle of the stream like I was doing last week. My energy levels have balanced out a little better than that, but I'm definitely feeling the beginning of this week already. So, much apologies. Yeah, I think this is a far more naturalistic color. And it's not so dark that it overwhelms the highlight I've already put on there. It just mutes it back down to what I would consider like an actual earthy tone. Let's go ahead and hit all that. And there we go. That looks a little better. So that guy is pretty much done. Go back and hit some of these fellas. That's the wrong, entirely the wrong base. Let's knock down a little bit of the rock, because the rock is now impossibly bright. Hit some of that. Hit some of that. And again, just trying to make it look more muddy and more churned and less like there's really weird bright highlights on it. But yep, again, love this guy. I think he looks great. I'm gonna put you back over there. Let's get you. Other angry gentleman. I wonder if there's any way I can make the flocking growing out of these guys look just a little bit more lifelike. Because right now it just looks like it's exploded out. Maybe what I can do is start adding some little creepers going around the chest plates and whatnot. And just really sell the idea that these guys are basically sprouting vegetation. Get some green stuff, roll some tubers, put them on these guys. Who knows? I'll figure something out, I suppose. Let's really get under there. Really get over there. Really get over there. There we go. Now that looks appropriately stupid. Fantastic. Let's see. This guy over here. Well, this gal over here. Same thing. Let's mute down that rock a bit. Go ahead and hit some of that. mute that down a bit. And yeah, see, it's still got a highlight. It's just less obnoxious a highlight. I think that's pretty okay. You, my good lady, are smoking a literal weed. That woman has a weed. We need to call the police. Okay. This one, I'm really going to mute back down because I apparently forgot to paint the entire thing at all. There we go. She had a really nice pipe and I ruined it by putting a giant tuft of grass on it. That's perfectly fine. Same thing here. This was originally painted black, which I figured could feed nicely into a gray. But it just ain't working for me, so I'm going to go ahead and hit it with this kind of creamy brown. Then maybe go back over it with a gray highlight to really emphasize that it's a rock and not just a big clump of mud. Though, in all honesty, a clump of mud would probably work just as well for these minis, right? I mean, like, look at this guy. And then, of course, Le Duc. And I think next time I do something like this, I'm going to actually try and make, like, a paved ground for them to be on. Because, while that is kind of neat, while that is kind of fun, it's definitely not the most difficult of basing. And so these town guards look like they're just standing in the mud, which is fine for what I'm doing, but in terms of trying to challenge myself as an artist, I'm really not working that hard. So, mayhaps next time. In the meantime, we're going to clean that off. Which was surprisingly not that impregnated with paint. And knock all that off on the drying rack, and then I'm going to grab a little bit of gray, and I think I might try and lightly dry brush over some of these rocks to imply more of a gray stone than what's currently on there, which is kind of a brown muddy texture. Okay, let's... And I don't even need a lot of this, just enough to sell the idea that these are rocks, right? Yeah, like that's doing it. That's doing it for me. Perfect. Where else we got some rocks? You're a rock. Again, just a little bit of gray, brushing against the texture to show that there is a texture to this rock. That'll do. That's a goose butt. That's not a rock. You're a rock. Let's see, can I brush you with just the slightest hint of texture? There we go. And how about you? Yep, this one actually turned out pretty good, but I think a little bit more of a highlight will help kind of really sell the rockiness of that rock. And another rock is done. Okay, this one, same thing. I think hitting it with all those blacks and browns and everything else kind of added some unintentional depth, and these ended up looking pretty darn good. This thing, too, is also a rock. So let's go ahead, paint that up, and there we go. Now they look like rocks. And I think that looking appropriately dirty is okay. This guy, I actually did a pretty okay on his eyes. I did a pretty okay on his eyes. Wow, am I tired. But yeah, I'm pretty okay with how these guys turned out. He's got a huge hunk of grass on his growing out of his back. They all look just mildly infected by the root, and that's exactly what I'm going for. I have some other minis that I will eventually be tearing up and ruining, but that is not today. And I also just realized I'm probably not going to need my Winsor & Newton brush either, simply because I'm doing a lot of gross painting. Which does not necessarily mean Winsor & Newton is a thing I need today. So let's take that off. Come on. There you go. Let's take that off, and now I can actually transition into the real fun. No, I'll work on him later. I might have to airbrush that lad. I have with me today some... I don't remember the name of these guys. Biovores? They've got some neat stuff going on. So all of the carapace bits are going to be... carapace-y bits, I guess, are going to continue being kind of a white color that I will dry brush to a white. And anything that's not that is just going to be a really angry red. So let's go ahead and get to work on that, shall we? Okay, you can go there, because that is what I am going to work on. Okay, mix up some red. Need to mix up a decent amount of red, I think. Okay, that's not going to be enough, but it'll be enough for what I'm doing right now. Let's take our lovely little brush. Get a little bit more water mixed into that brush. Mix it into our paint. And we are off to the races. So kind of the same thing. Since I'm going based off of Elish Norn's High Fleet Phyrexian look, all of these lads are going to have like bright red fleshy skin, or like a deep rich red fleshy skin, and then they're going to have bone white carapace, or ivory white even, or whatever white you want to call it. And what that'll do for me is it creates a really great contrast, and I kind of dig it tremendously. So my hope is that it translates really well to a striking tabletop color. And so far, those predictions, those assumptions have been pretty correct. Everything I've painted so far in this scheme has looked really nice with minimal effort, because the white-red contrast is so incredibly strong between the carapace and the fleshy bits. And I definitely dig that about this this paint scheme. And the best part is, even if I don't hit it exactly right, it just creates some natural color variation. I'm not entering these to win golden demons or anything, so if they're a little sloppy or their color is a little inconsistent, that's fine. Just as long as they have that really strong red to white contrast, right? Speaking of red to white contrast, you can use some red to white contrast. But yeah, let's just go ahead and hit some of this up. And I'll be honest, I'm not being wildly consistent with a lot of how I'm painting this. Most of the fun comes in the fact that when your eyes rest on it, you can clearly see the what you call it, not the language I want to use, what I'm trying to say, what is trying to be visually conveyed by these colors, right? Simple and powerful. It's like the McDonald's logo, but instead of eating burger, you're eating biomass. You're eating everything, including burger. Oh, this is completely off topic, but I was watching some ProZD stuff a couple days ago, and it was the first time I had yelled at my computer screen in a very long time. Usually I reserve that for the Game Grumps, because Aaron Hansen is just so darn good at being not good at game. But ProZD was rating different like McDonald's foods that he had eaten, and he was doing like all the menu items, and that's fine, that's cool. And I knew that he was going based off of his own personal opinion, like it wasn't a true critical analysis of the food or the meals. But I was just flabbergasted at how many foods that he admitted were bad and of low quality he was giving A's and S's and B and whatnot to. And when he would get to conceivably real food, such as you know, their chicken sandwich, which is generally made from pretty okay ingredients, he would talk about how fresh it is and how good it was, and then he'd be like, yeah, that's a B+. And all I could think of is, you are literally talking about how how the meat is chewy for a grilled hamburger, and you're giving it A or S tier. And in the meantime, the only thing you don't like about the chicken is that it's a little bit dry, but that's enough to push it all the way down to a full letter grade compared to food that you admit isn't good. And, you know, my wife, being the lovely lady that she is, was trying to, you know, explain it and why, and really justify it for him, even though she didn't need to, because I was just being petulant at that point. But it was very funny, her getting to watch me have a minor conniption over something so incredibly meaningless. So I appreciate her being there to listen to me turn into a child, because some person I'm never going to meet in real life felt differently about McDonald's food than I do. And it's thoughts like that that keep me grounded. This thing is disgusting. I think what'll be fun, though, is to create even more contrast, is on the bulbs and the pustules and whatever these are, is to go ahead... Ooh, that's a brain bug. Is to go ahead and paint them like a sickly yellow. And that'll make them really stand out as a color from pretty much everything else. The red, yellow, white triangle is going to look really weird. Though the yellows I use tend to have just a smidge of orange in them, so who knows how that's going to go. Go ahead and do the buggy of the brainy. Though I do gotta admit, the coloring on these, the shape language is so good. This is so little effort on my part. I'm just blocking it in. And because of how well designed these are visually, they're eating up the paint and making it look a whole lot better than I could. So we're going to take probably this bit too. This isn't top carapace, so probably that as well. Finish that in. Mayhap like so? Maybe that part? Yeah, that part. At least on both sides. I'm traveling a bit. I'm sorry, guys. I tend to get kind of involved in whatever it is I'm painting. And then I lose track of where I'm going. Yeah, again, not perfect, but for how quick this paint job was with some wet paint, he's looking pretty good. And other than some small areas that I missed simply because they're relatively inaccessible, there's not much left for me to do. I mean, I'm going to hit him with a wash later, a purple wash, which will hopefully do a good job of really kind of muting down this ultra vibrant red, which I know could look good, but I'm not working that hard on it, so it's not going to look great. But yeah, this is going to look fantastic when it's done. This just kind of nailed it for me, because this was not a model I was particularly interested in getting when I first saw the box. Speaking of, I need to put the other one up for sale. So yes, this lad is relatively done for now. You're next. This one's vomiting. He is vomiting as he is throwing something literally up. What's that? I gotta check what's going on over here. But yeah, so let's go ahead and hit this guy next. Gonna just spread some very wet red all over him. It'll fall into the nooks and crannies, and because it is translucent, it will do the highlights for me. And that'll end up looking really good without me meaning it to. So let's just go from there. And if at any point I realize, oh, it dried really weak, I need to put more on, not that difficult. Add some more paint to it, and that'll kind of solidify it up. So yep, there we go. It's looking good. Same thing there. Let's see, a little bit on the thigh. And this is watered down enough that it keeps wanting to run into the rivulets, which is exactly what I want. I'm basically using this Vallejo Deep Red that's been watered down, almost like it's a contrast paint, because I'm trying to do as little work as possible with painting these guys, because they've been sitting on my table too long and I'm tired of seeing them. So I just want to get them done as quickly as possible without making them look like absolute garbage. I guess thankfully, because these are all baseline buggy infantry, no one's really going to pay too close an attention to any of these guys. So they'll pick one up and they might ooh and ah at it, but all of my mistakes and all of my cut corners are just going to look really natural as part of the variable color scheme. Who knows? Like I said, not trying to enter these into any golden demons. Just trying to get them table ready and neat. Okay, let's see. I'm actually getting close to my goal. I wanted to get 1,000 points of bugs ready because my buddy Soft Servo, he faced off against the Tyranids in 9th edition, I think, against one of his friends who has a long-standing Tyranid army. and he basically couldn't beat him. He played them multiple times over the weekend they hung out together, since I believe the guy was visiting from out of state, and he just could not beat those bugs. And so he's kind of had it stuck in his craw that the bugs were very difficult for him. And he's wanted to test his mettle against them ever since. So my goal is to provide a buggy experience for him so that he can train up and see just how much better he's gotten as a player, and how, whoops, that's not what I want to paint, and how either good or not good the Tyranids are right now. Look at this for reference. Okay, I didn't paint that part. Now, the worst part about it is that the data slate is coming out soon, and my goal is to kind of ignore it, because I don't really care enough. I'm having a lot of fun playing with the armies I have. How they're pointed out, I see no reason to change it, so I don't really think I'm going to. I don't play outside of with friends, so I don't really need to pay attention to the new army rules, but I guess if I want to play at a local game store, I should pay attention to it and look it up. But that to me is like the most mentally draining part of 40k, is even, the constant updates meant for the competitive level, which I completely get. And obviously there's some egregious ones where they have to fix a problem that grew way out of hand. Like, the Deathwatch's new cause mortal wounds on everything guns and tactics, and the Eldari with their reroll everything thing. But I don't know, for casual play, everything seems to play okay. Except for the Death Guard. They need help. As a Death Guard player who's played them like twice, I got tabled very quickly both times. So yeah, the Death Guard could use some help. But I feel like most other armies are at least okay unless you're playing a highly tuned competitive list. But then again, I haven't played that many games, so someone else who has played more 10th edition can tell me. Oh, this parasite is nasty. What a nasty parasite. Okay. Go ahead and get that little bit. And again, because this is so runny, it's doing a lot of my work for me, which I greatly appreciate. I don't even know if you can see the angle I'm painting at, but I can't see otherwise, so that's where that was going. But yeah, see? Looks pretty okay. Didn't take much. Just a little bit of red all over the place, and it looks relatively red enough. And I mean, clearly I've got some spots where it was like, did you even try and hitting the lines? And to be honest, the answer is no, I didn't. Most of this is going to get dry brushed to hell and back anyway, so why should I worry about being perfectly precise with all of my paint lines? It'll look fine when it's all done. And again, that was kind of the hardest lesson for me to learn when I first got into this hobby, was like, you don't need to make every line perfect, you're gonna frick them up anyway, so go ahead and go wild with it, and then once you're done, go back and fix it. Which is weird, because you always want it to look really good, but, stuff's gonna have an ugly phase whether you realize it or not, so just kind of accepting that and working with it is going to save you so much stress and frustration than if you were to try and make it painstakingly perfect on first brush. I say as I keep going over it over and over again. You're good now. You can go over there. Hey, Swedish Muppet guy, how's it going? I'm having a late night stream. I hope you're not up too late. Barbgants? I don't remember what they're called. I'm painting some of the Tyranids that I got in the Leviathan box that have been sitting here since June? I forget when the box came out, but these guys have been sitting here for quite a while, and I've gotten to a point where I'm tired of seeing them unpainted on my table, so they are getting a paint job based off of the Magic the Gathering, the Phyrexians, when they were led by Elish Norn in one of the more recent Magic the Gathering sets, because the red and the white looks really good together. currently 1:40 a.m. Well, I trust you to know your own sleep patterns. Hopefully it's not too late for you. Yeah, so we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. We're gonna do that. But yeah, I can't do the late night anymore. I went near the beginning of August, the second week of August, I went on a trip to Ohio with some friends, with a friend to hang out with. Whoops, that's a shell. To hang out. I'm just about to try and get the floor of the bedroom cleared so I can start moving furniture tomorrow. That's right. You're making all the custom furniture, right? All of the bespoke, one-of-a-kind furniture out of reclaimed lumber. All I can say is good luck with that. It seems like you're going to have a lot of fun basically having a room you built with your bare hands. I am for sure feeling the physical downsides of poor sleep. Yeah, I've been doing the struggle as well, though mine's a weird one. I can't sleep in past 6:30 in the morning. And now, because my job's hours have changed just ever so slightly, it's now 5:30. So it doesn't matter when I go to bed. I'm waking up at like 5:30 in the morning. And yeah, it really sucks when you're tired. But I can't stay up past like 11 o'clock. And once I hit about 10:30, I start becoming slowly comatose. That's when you fall asleep. You must have very different working hours than I do. But yeah, at around 10:30, 11-ish is when my body starts telling me, nope, you're shutting down. Brain is shutting down. And so when I went to Ohio to hang out with some friends, we would hang out at the game store pretty much all day, and then we'd come back and we'd try and do some more gaming, like tabletop gaming. But by about 9 o'clock, I was starting to feel tired. And so by the time like 10 o'clock rolled around when we were actually ready to get started, I'd basically have to duck out and be like, sorry guys, I can't awake any longer. You go ahead and play without me. I'm going to pass out on the couch. Out of work deploying like a maniac? Oh, that's not an enviable position. I hope you find a job soon. I'm a school teacher, and they shifted our hours by only like a half hour, but it's played havoc on my internals. And while I am currently not out of work, I am actively trying to find a different job because this year has been especially brutal and grueling, and I really don't want to do it anymore. So hopefully very soon it works out well for both of us, but more importantly for you, because I at least have the stable income. It sounds like you need the stable income, so I am praying harder in general that you find a job that suits your needs and helps you hit that economic stability that everyone so craves. But yeah, it's like the economy in general has been awful for everyone unless you have like 8 zeros attached to your name. So, sorry to hear that you're struggling, buddy. I hope things get better for you. I also think it is so weird that I am having to precision paint this guy's wiener, but that's not at all related. Let's go ahead and spread that red. I didn't realize he had a little grundle piece. I've been painting over the grundle piece. Though I don't think anyone's going to notice. Yeah, it is what it is. I keep hearing... I saw a thing a little while ago that, you know, kind of poked fun at the connotation behind that phrase, how it is what it is sounds like a sign that you've given up. But what it actually should be, and should be recognized as, is a sign that you acknowledge the hardships that you are facing, and you are choosing to face them head on anyway. And even though that's obviously a very romanticized version of it, I prefer to think of it that way. It makes life a little bit less suffery. But yeah, I'm really digging these models now that I've started to paint them. Games Workshop does a lot of things wrong, but man, do they nail the sculpts on some of their kits. Like, in general, this just looks silly. You just graduated this summer, too, though. Okay, that's fair. So you're still pretty fresh out of, is it, I'm assuming high school or college? Well, it's either got to be high school or college. So yeah, you've got plenty of time. I have a friend who kind of became something of a protege because I taught him his senior year of high school. You're just now starting to look for your first proper job. Good luck, man. I hope it goes well for you. But I have a friend who he was a student when he was a senior in high school, because that's when I first started teaching, and he kind of lacked a strong father figure. And without meaning to, I kind of took him under my wing, because I found out that he had an interest in doing Aikido, and I had been doing Aikido for years at that point, so I started inviting him to the school I was going to. And once he graduated, we started hanging out outside of that situation. I gotta sneeze one moment. And the equivalent of high school, fair enough. And we became pretty good friends after that. And a couple years ago, he was in a relationship that he's still in with a young lady who was from Michigan, which is many states over. And he was hemming and hawing about moving out of the city that we're in, which is a small little, almost country city in Southwest Virginia, to Michigan, which is, I think, like a 13-14 hour drive. And I kind of explained to him, like, look, man, you're still in your early 20s. This is the time to do these things, because unless something completely catastrophic happens, you still have plenty of time to recover from it in every sense of the word. So, go out there and be with her, man. If it doesn't work out, then move back here. If it does work out, then cool. You took a chance and it worked out for you. So he went ahead and did that, and now he's in Michigan. And unfortunately, he too is struggling to find steady work, but that's because the general economy has been awful. And he was a bartender for a long time and really enjoyed it, but he hated the fact that since he was a competent bartender, managers would lean on him to do literally everything. You kind of had to grow up way younger than you were hoping to. Yeah, I hear that. It's never the preferred experience. I was a sheltered little baby. The thing that kind of helped me a lot was working with a bunch of kids who also had to grow up way younger than they needed to. But I still got a lot of blind spots in that case, and a lot of privilege in other cases. But yeah. So, what kind of work you looking into? What would you like to do? I know people usually don't like to do jobs, but what kind of stuff interests you outside of the Warhams and the mini paintings? That actually wouldn't be a bad place to go. Work at one of those local game shops. That's something I probably romanticize a little too much, but the idea of being able to just chill in a game shop and help people who need help with game seems like not an ideal situation, but definitely a very pleasant one that unfortunately doesn't pay too well. Okay. Let's see. In the United States, they really stress the importance of going to college. Well, they did. They don't as much anymore. But unfortunately for my generation, which was, I'm an elder millennial, I guess you could call me. I was born in the, I don't know. I was born in the late 80s. But, they stressed our generation, go to college, go to college, go to college. And in the United States, unless you're wealthy, that usually means taking out huge loans at the federal and private level. And unfortunately, unless you are incredibly lucky, that ends up being literally hundreds of thousands of dollars of student loan debt. And our country's sadly lost my dad at 12 and had to move in with my mom, who wasn't really the best parent in the world at the time. And yeah, that threw me off fully. Ended up in bad circles. When I finally got away from that, got treatment for my issues. Well, I'm glad to hear that it ended better than it started. I'm sorry to hear that things didn't go well for you for a long time. And I mean, from what it sounds like while you're here, you seem like you're doing pretty okay, and you've got a pretty decent plan ahead of you in a lot of ways. So hopefully your life is on the upswing. right? That's all anyone can hope in this day and age. God, I feel old saying that. But, yeah, we were very heavily pushed into going to college, and then very heavily pushed into signing up for ridiculous loans with ridiculous interest rates. And so our culture right now is facing a huge student loan crisis because there's no way that we can realistically pay off these student loans within our lifetimes. And in the meantime, they're taking up a third of our incomes and making it so that doing a lot of the standard benchmark things of being an adult, like buying a house and having a kid and whatnot, just aren't obtainable because we don't have the money to do them. And then we've got political parties that are just blaming us for being lazy and not wanting to pay back what's we owe. And it's just overall a really bad situation. So hopefully it's not that bad where you are and you're able to find some job that you do enjoy. Yeah, free education. I wish. Our state education up to 12th grade, up to we're 18, is government provided. But beyond that, if we wanted to go on to higher learning, unless we hit certain economic benchmarks, we foot the bill. I got really lucky, and when one of my grandparents died, she left behind a sizable inheritance, and my parents used that to pay off my student loans and my sister's. But I know that's not the norm for a lot of people. And so I think it's ridiculous that we have such a huge issue with educating our youth and then putting them with an incredible bill that they're never going to pay off. And to make it worse, some of the student loan forgiveness programs that were supposed to help us out. Yeah, we get paid going to school from 16 to 20. That's got to be nice. I like that age cutoff too, because that seems like a pretty good ceiling for when your brains are better developed and you're a little more mature. At least from my experience, at 18, a lot of people are still kids, right? They're just kids with legal rights now, or legal responsibilities. So bumping up the age a couple years, I feel like definitely gives them a little more time to mature. But I mean, that's kind of the what you call it of having decent health care and all those other things, is we live longer. Oh my goodness, the brain bug is looking very gross. After you apply for a certain we get paid after you apply for a certain higher payout. Still, it's all there, and that's gotta feel good. But yeah, like my wife is dealing with that right now. She went to school to be a teacher and then found that the school she went to was incredibly hostile and not very helpful. And so she switched majors to graphic design, and now she's got a lot of student debt to pay off. And even though she's been paying on it reliably for 10 years, it's basically exactly where it was. I think you can get around $275 a month, and unless you apply for a student loan, then it's like $1,100 a month. Good lord. That wouldn't pay for much here. I actually don't know too well how the student loan system works here, other than that it's very exploitative because my parents dealt with most of it. I was a pampered child. Okay. This guy is effectively red enough, and the interest is only at 0.7%. Good lord. I think in the United States it's up in the double digits, so it's at like 10% or higher, 6 to 10. And it's bad. It's really bad. So I'm glad that there are some governments in some countries that understand that you're not just paying for a kid to go to college or higher learning, you are investing in the future. And while that may have an initial loss on return, it definitely sets your country up for better things later. We are beyond blessed. Yeah, it was weird kind of stepping out of the fog of the propaganda that told us that America is the best country in the world for most of my life, and then getting to realize, no, other people live a lot better than we do. But that's okay. We're all just trying to you know, get along with life, whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna paint his Grundle again. There we go. It's red. The only thing that costs us money are books. Even our adult education is free. Good gravy. At college, our textbooks tended to be one of the biggest expenses that we had, and it was partially because it was a way for the professors to make money because they weren't being paid enough. Because they would make, you know, a little bit of money off of the sale of the books. So they would release new editions every year, and that would make selling back the books kind of invalid. It's just, all in all, a fairly exploitative system. Because we would spend several $100s on the textbooks, and that was never fun. But that's a whole nother thing. Okay, this guy, his Grundle is efficiently painted, so let's move on. In Sweden also have a lot of issues. Each country has its ups and downs. That is true. No one is perfect, and it's really dangerous for outsiders looking at a country to point at it and say, see, they know what they're doing. They've got it right. Because, you know, not every country is the same, and so everyone has their own issues to deal with by and large. And trying to lump one group in to say everything they're doing is right and everyone should copy exactly their model is not necessarily the smartest thing to do. Because that's not how we as people work. We have that problem in every facet of life. We always want to emulate the people that seem to be doing the best without really understanding what they're doing. Okay. But yeah, I think that's enough. I think I'm gonna get back to trying to paint this guy red because it's turning out pretty okay. But the next thing for these guys is going to be to dry brush them. I think it's gonna be great. Yeah. The politics are what I'm trying not to think about while I paint my little bug men who are an allegory for something. They're an allegory for the Starship Troopers, which is an allegory for the war. But anyway, yeah. I did not have the monies to buy more of the Tyranids, so I rounded out my 1,000 point list of these guys with some 3D printed lads. And I gotta say, One Page Rules has really nailed it out of the park with their designs. They're clearly not 100%. So you said these were inspired by the Phyrexians. Yes. If you've played Magic the Gathering, in one of the more recent sets, one of the Praetors from Phyrexia gathered all of them together and staged an invasion across the multiverse or something like that. I haven't properly played Magic in a while. But what they did was, it was called March of the Machines, I think. And it was Elish Norn, who was the white Phyrexian Praetor. And let me see, I've got some key art that I can use. And she had very striking like bone armor, like white bone armor and red underneath. And so a lot of the Phyrexians, you pulled the green and blue ones. That's really neat. I wasn't playing Magic at the time, so I pulled none of them. I really want an Elish Norn because I have a bounce deck, a blue-white bounce deck that would use her really nicely. But yeah, so I'm trying to basically copy that color scheme and put it on my Phyrex, or on my my Tyranids. And I pulled some other key art to use. Let's see if I can. Come on. No, that's not what I want. You're looking for Progenitus? That's really funny. One of my friends has a Progenitus that he had in his in a commander deck for a long time, just because it was a cool card, because it said protection from everything. But I think you're talking about the was Progenitus affected in the March of the Machines Phyrexian War? I honestly don't remember. The lore of Magic kind of lost me after War of the Spark. Because that's kind of where I fell out of Magic, partially because of the pandemic happening, and partially because I got into Warhammer. Yeah, he built a 5-color Brago bomb deck that was just... Or not Brago, Joda deck that if you left him alone, he would basically just goldfish for 20 minutes and then end the game. And it was his way of being able to flex and show off all of his cool stuff. But he realized that it stopped being fun to pilot once he realized that the only way people would play it is if they actively ignored him or actively targeted him. And he kind of got tired of winning that way. So he took apart that deck and started making other decks that were a little more interactive for Jodah. Or interactive than Jodah. Which I was perfectly fine with. Because watching him play through the Jodah combo for the millionth time was definitely starting to lose its luster. Okay, do I have anywhere? Oh yeah, back there needs to get it, back here needs to get it. Yeah, no, of all things, he created a... my friend has a deck as well, but can't fully remember the theme, but I know he plays it really well. Yeah, Magic has gotten way too complex over the last couple years. I don't want to complain too much about it, because clearly people are being introduced to the game and having a blast with it. But I feel like with the last, you know, 2 or 3 years worth of sets, they keep adding mechanics that require more game pieces. And that, to me, isn't fun. Like, Planeswalkers were a bit much when they were a thing, but, like, having to venture into the dungeon and become the Monarch, and have a battle, and have stickers, and have, you know, all these other pieces that just are bespoke to a specific mechanic, is really overwhelming. And I'm kind of having that problem with Warhams right now, too. But at least with Warhams, I can focus on my one army and not worry about it being, you know, outmoded or outdated or unusable in a couple years. At least that's what it feels like. Like, I can keep adding to my Fist army, but at its core, it's still going to be a Fist army, and it's going to be fine. Because you can't go lower than last place, baby. But yeah, those key art pictures are the ones I was kind of inspired by when I was choosing what these guys were going to look like. And they're all going to get a purple wash, which should tone them down even further. And that's going to be great. But for right now, what else do I have? Oh yeah, check this out. So I don't have a Haru specs because they're really expensive, and I think they're out of stock at the Games Workshop site. But like, One Page Rules had their own version of the Tyranids called the Alien Hives, and they basically have an equivalent model for everything in the Tyranid army. And they have their own version of the Haru specs, which is the one with all the maw that, you know, devours everything and turns it into biomass. And this is their version. So I'm pretty stoked to get to paint this thing up soon. I think I'm going to need a bigger brush. What I'm probably going to do with this guy is I might actually just airbrush the bottom parts of him. And he's really heavy too, because apparently I was stupid and forgot to hollow him out. But I'm going to airbrush the bottom parts of him red, and then dry brush... Actually, I might just airbrush the entire thing red, and then dry brush him like white up top. Because otherwise, trying to paint him with a standard brush is going to be an absolute mess. I don't remember. I honestly don't. He wasn't a humongous amount, surprisingly, but he's definitely a chunky boy. He has some weight behind him. I don't know if you heard that, but he definitely has some weight behind him. I think what I'm going to do instead is I've got a set of Termagants that need to be painted up. So, these little lads, I already did 10 of them. I might as well finish off these other 10, because once I do that, with the exception of the Haru specs, I'm pretty much done base coating all of the Tyranids, and I can move on to the dry brushing step of these guys, or potentially the wash step. Yeah, it's all downhill from here once I finish these guys. And like I said, these are primarily to play a friend. I don't actually have much of an interest in collecting a Tyranid army. So what I might do after he kicks my ass a few times, because I cannot for the life of me play a Horde army, is I might just go ahead and sell them. Because I really don't have a use for them outside of getting some cool pictures. Though admittedly, I did that with the Necrons that came out with the Indomitus box, and I kind of regretted it ever since. But it was mainly just because I wanted to own them. I didn't really want to play them. I just wanted to own them again. And I think that's more because I finally got a good camera and a good setup, and I learned how to take really good photos, and I didn't know back then. So they're all taken very poorly. And I wish I could have gotten photos that were closer to the quality of the paint jobs. I don't know if you know who you're all about orcs. Yeah, that's because everyone loves orcs because they are the best. I have a very small growing orc army that I think I showed off before. I eventually want to make it bigger, but I've got so many things. You kind of do want to make a custom Space Marine chapter? That'll be easy. They're everywhere. I actually have a an unsold Leviathan sprue for all of the Space Marines, and I was holding on to it for a friend, but he realized that he's kind of really happy where his Space Wolves are, and he didn't want it, and would rather spend that money on more Tyranid, so he was like, yeah, just go ahead and sell it. So now, I've got to figure out how to sell a complete Leviathan Space Marines sprue. Though, given how prevalent they are right now, I kind of want to hold on to them until they become a little rarer. A Chaos Space Wolf chapter. That sounds like a lot of fun. I saw recently on somewhere someone did a Demon Prince, like the new sculpt Demon Prince, and they made it Chaos Space Wolf, and I just thought that was the coolest thing in the world. So what orc warband do you play, or whatever they call themselves? This is how little I know about the orcs. I don't even know what their sub-factions are called. You play the Goths? That's a good choice. My wife, for Christmas last year, got me a Goth rocker, and I keep forgetting I have him and that I should definitely put him in my little army once I make it. Especially because my army is based off of memes. Freebooters, another good army. My buddy, the one who moved to Michigan, he plays orcs as well, and he doesn't have freebooters. I think I told you about him. He has ones that are really into shiny shit, and so they bedeck themselves in fake jewelry and call themselves the gem runners. And so he's got a lot of fun stuff going on there. They would be flash skits, but he wanted to make a custom orc warband, so he calls them the gem runners, which is a reference to a hip-hop artist called Run the Jewels. But yeah, they're essentially flash skits with just a little bit of freebooter in them. But yeah, he's got a lot of fun stuff with that. Yeah, I don't know how he got a hold of it, but he has a ton of cheap dollar store jewelry and, like, you know, the kind of jewelry chains you could find, and he's just completely bedecked his guys in them. And so it's a really unique look with not an incredible amount of effort or, you know, skill needed. And so he's managed to make a fairly large army, something like 6,000 points of orcs without a whole lot of effort. And yeah, Captain Badruck deserves a new mini. My only worry is that they're gonna, I don't want to say ruin him, but part of his charm is just how incredibly mischievous he looks. And so while it would be neat to see one that's a little more straightforward, yeah, the old one's tiny and boring, well, he doesn't have the most dynamic pose, but I love how bedecked he is in his crap. I love just how festooned he is with all of the pirate gear. And my only worry, which honestly I think with the orcs is misplaced, is that if they remake him, they'll play it too straight and he'll be even more boring even if he is in a more dynamic pose. Yeah, and like that's actually where I'm drawing my opinion from. I really don't like the new Snickrot model. And it's not because it's bad. It's extremely well made. It's just boring to me. It doesn't have the same amount of chaotic personality that the old one had. That made it feel unique and not just like a generic fantasy orc. The new one, he's got the smoke bomb, he's got the goggles, he's got his twin blades, and it's a great dynamic pose, but he kind of looks like an orc with a Sam Fisher set of goggles on, But with the old one, which I'm pretty sure you're aware of, he's got like that really funny shushing pose going on. And I feel like they can't replicate that level of sass. And I think that's why I like it so much. When I found out that they were closing out the original Snickrot model, I actually bought the old one because I wanted that model. I thought it was the funniest thing in the world to have a giant 8-foot tall orc shushing you like, you know, you're not going to see him. So he's part of my army now, and he's going to be leading a set of commandos who are all wearing loud, colorful tracksuits because they didn't understand that the camouflage has to match the background. Because that's funny to me. But actually, speaking of cool models, the Commander Farsight model that came out, my god. That model's so pretty it should be illegal. But yeah, all of my, as I continue making my orcs, they're going to be based off of movie tropes and movie stuff. So they're going to be fun. And eventually, I'll get around to painting those. But first I gotta collect them. But I've got like 5 other things I want to collect ahead of them. So they're kind of a long-term project that I might not complete anytime soon. Kind of want to try and make a Zodrog Wartsnaga and turn him into Captain Badrock. Not a bad idea. I don't remember what that guy looks like. I know who you're talking about, though. I remember that name sounds, like, incredibly familiar, and I'm trying to picture him in my head, but I cannot remember for the life of me what that mini looks like. If you give me a second, once I finish painting this Tyranid, I'll take a break, and I'll go ahead and look him up. He's got the hunched and weird pose. Is he the one that looks like a shaman of some kind? Because that's what I'm thinking of. He's the one that he looks like he's got a long, scraggly beard, and he's got long, wild hair. Is that the one? Yep, okay, with the funny looking hair. Okay, yeah, no, he'd be a great Badrock. I also probably should look online on the Purple site to see if I can find any good proxies of Badrock. Because I know he's a fairly popular character. And 3D rendering artists are getting better and better every day with making unique models and reinterpretations of like popular characters. Though I did see a thing, and that made me really sad. The new Space Marines Codex is going to be losing like 30 datasheets, which is absolutely fair. They need to have less datasheets. There are too many Space Marine datasheets as is. But Auspex Tactics implied that, especially since they discontinued the model, that Captain Lysander is going to be one of them. And all I can think of is, no, they finally made him good. I like Captain Lysander. I don't want you to get rid of him. I want a true scale Captain Lysander. So my hope is that they're not getting rid of Lysander. They're just going to release a better model of him. Because his current model has really strong don't you talk to me or my son energy. And I don't like playing him. Right now, actually, when I do play Lysander with the Assault Terminators, I use the Imperial Fist Praetor and Tartaros armor as my Captain Lysander, because he's got a shield and a big fuck-off weapon, so it's close enough as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, it was a rumor. It was just Auspex Tactics trying to deduct based on what he knows. And in general, he's pretty good. I mean, there's so much, though. They're the main faction for selling the toys and whatnot, so Games Workshop concentrates on them hardcore. But yeah, they're getting rid of 30 datasheets. I think there are like over 120 right now, which is stupid. And in the new codex, there's going to be like 90 something. So there's a clear implication there that they're getting rid of 30. They're going to legendify 30 different datasheets. And they were able to draw some conclusions that, you know, these ones are going because they discontinued the models on the store. But like a couple of the models that got discontinued have already been replaced with Primaris or true scale versions, like the Scouts and the Assault Marines. So they had to... He tried to make some assumptions, like Pedro Cantor is gone, so he's probably gonna be gone from the Codex, and Captain Lysander is gone, so he'll probably be gone from the Codex. And that just makes me salty because the Ultramarines have like 8 characters. And I think they might be losing 1. Who actually got a fairly recent sculpt. So it's just like, why are they the only chapter to get like 8 million characters while everyone else just kind of has to be happy with the 1 half character they get? But that is just me being incredibly whingy. So I wouldn't listen to my opinion too much. At this point, I'd feel like a child complaining that he wasn't getting a present at his friend's birthday party. You know, like that scene from Family Guy. And here's your equal attention cake, Peter. Definitely one of those moments. But yeah, I want to see the other factions get a lot more attention. I appreciate that the Orcs get the attention they do, because they're obviously a popular faction. But I feel like, you know, the Drukhari, the Dark Eldar need a lot more attention. I'd love to see the Mechanicus get some more love. I know they just got an army release a couple of, about 6 years ago, but it seems like they got that army release and then little else. And I'd love to see them. I'm irritated about all the Beast Snaga stuff getting sold out online. Yeah, I would be too. That released at the absolute worst time, didn't it? Because, they were struggling to catch up from like the COVID shutdowns and all of the supply chain issues. And then it's like they immediately diverted all of their printers to working on Leviathan. So it's like there was no point where the Beast Snaga stuff was consistently in stock. But yeah, no, I am really into the vehicles, and I know I'm really late to the party about that, but that's what's kind of inspired me for my army and what I'm eventually going to do with them. I'm done with the regular, or with the infantry, I believe, and I will eventually start buying vehicles. Or I might be an absolute goober, which I kind of don't want to do because they'll be heavy. Station Forge has their own version of the Orc vehicles, and I think they're a little big, and I know for a fact because they're resin they're a little heavy, but I could very easily just print those if I really wanted to go hard on my idea. Oh, I didn't paint this guy's inner leg at all. But yeah, I think they're neat, and I can't wait to paint them up like stupid things. I think I want to get an Orc truck and paint it red and call it Orctimus Prime, which I'm pretty sure has been done to death, but I haven't had my crack at it, so I'd like to try. And, you know, just have fun like that. Gearguts has some great sculpts as well. He actually popped into this channel. He has 30% off on STLs. I'll have to look at that, because I've seen Gearguts' stuff, and I nearly shat a brick when he showed up on the channel to say hey. But, I have the STLs I need already because I'm a patron of Station Forge, and they've got some really great STLs of things that I want to make. He seems like it. I'm really happy that the Warhammer community has just been so kind of inviting and laid back. Because if you go on certain social media sites, they seem so uptight and, in general, bigoted, which I didn't want to deal with. But yeah, I remember seeing all of Gearguts' stuff when I actually sat down and looked at it, and I was like, oh man, my buddy is going to have a field day with this, because he wanted a Space Marine army. Played Minecraft with him a few times. Very cool. I can't play Minecraft. It moves too fast for me and makes me violently ill, because I have motion sickness issues. And it sucks, because it makes me feel like I've missed out on one of the generational video games, you know? But I also missed out on Doom and GoldenEye and Perfect Dark and a lot of those first-person games because I just can't deal with it. But, what you call it? My brain died. My brain completely died. What was I thinking? Oh yeah, I looked at his stuff and was excited because I felt like my Orc friend was going to have a ton of fun with it. He wanted to do a Space Marine chapter, but wasn't sure which one. And I don't know how it worked out, but he settled on the Crimson Fists. And I think it was because he realized they hated orcs, and so it would be really easy to have his army fight the Crimson Fist army he was making, since he had nothing but orcs. But I printed out a bunch of stuff for him, and the last thing I printed was an orc in Space Marine, like, Terminator armor that I found as an STL, and he decided to name it Pedro Cantork, and that it for some reason thinks it's the Chapter of the Crimson Fists. And so, because it thinks it strongly enough, all of the Crimson Fist adherents think it too. And so he's a giant orc using Pedro Cantor's stat block. And then I saw I saw all the stuff that Gear Guts was making, and I was like, you know what? This fits absolutely perfect with the Crimson Fist, quote-unquote, loyalist chapter that he was making. So at some point, I'm going to have to go back on there, buy a ton of it, and then print it out for him and just make it for him as a really nifty Christmas gift. But that'll again have to wait until later, because I don't have any money right now. Okay, go ahead and keep painting it. Yeah, I don't know if they have the model on the Purple site anymore, because that's where I got it from. But I just remember it being an absolutely fantastic model. He's got a Power Claw on one hand, which became, you know, Cantor's Power Fist. And I think he even had a bolt gun strapped under his other arm, which worked perfectly. It was like he had the layout done already. So it all worked out pretty nicely. I also printed a Redemptor Dreadnought for him, and it kind of sucked because it was based off of a sculpt that wasn't very good. So the damn thing fell apart in transit. But the good news was that since he's an orc player, he was like, I know exactly what to do with this. And he just started slapping shit on it. So now it looks like a Dreadnought if it was made in a Fallout junkyard. And it's like, this couldn't have gone better. This is perfect. They've done exactly what they needed to do. But yeah, I haven't seen him in a while. He has not been able to travel due to finances, so hopefully during the holidays we will see each other again, and we can war hams, and it can be good. Because after all, that is what this hobby is about. Speaking of, there's still a ton of minis I want to buy. Yep, thank you, I appreciate it. That just got me thinking about all the minis I want to buy and can't afford yet. I've been drooling over getting a Lionel Johnson for, like, I don't remember when the damn thing came out, but long enough. I really want that Lionel Johnson. It's a beautiful model. And especially since I'm getting to that point with the painting where I feel like I can do him justice. Hello, how's it going? Is my wife, is Art by QB. She's here. I thought you were doing the D&D. Maybe she just popped in to say hi and she's gone now. I don't know. Oh, I'm up to 4 viewers now. Very neat. I'm gonna keep painting these guys very poorly because they don't deserve a good paint job. They deserve an accurate paint job, which is messy and bloody. Yep, she's upstairs. When I last left her, she was going to play Dungeons and Dragons with some friends over the Discord. But, it looks like she's here to pop in and then say, gobbly goobly low blob. And I guess she's gone now. I don't know. She is an artist. She is a very good artist. And she sells her stuff on a website. And is good. Actually, let me see. One moment. I think this is worthy of the thing. Okay. Let me. Where can I go? I don't need that. I don't need that. I'm gonna pull that out. Yes, I got it to work. Window capture. That'll do it. Boop. Okay. There's our website. Join the mailing list. This is some of the art she did. She did what was called Fresno Walkers, which are cryptid in the United States. And there they are trying on boots. She's got Wanted for Conspiracy, Wanted for Murder, which I believe is Crows and Ravens. She's got some D&D Valentine's Day cards. Postcards, which are a lot of fun. Here's some more of her art. Lots of cool, pretty stuff. And let's go. One moment. Let me find the thing. It's Chroma Colas, which I think are super neat. They're no, stop, and I'm Barry. It's okay. I love promoting you, dear. Holy Roller is funny. The die don't lie, which is very good. And then she's got Space, and of course the Uh-Oh Kobolds, which is one of my favorite things that she's done. What else do I have here? I agree to let you use cookies. And she's got stuff in her shop because she sells pins, and she sells shaker charms, and she sells stickers. All sorts of good stuff. Cosmic enamel pins. Her Demi Mothman is all sold out, unfortunately. She's got a self-published graphic novel called Haint. She's got space-themed washi tape. All sorts of fun things. Actually, where is it? Oh yeah, you've got grab bags too. You got tote bags that are really nice. They got the Dice Giveth and the Dice Take It. They got Holy Roller. She's got t-shirts, which are made of high-quality materials. If you've seen the new Dungeons & Dragons movie, she's got Themberchalk. It's a sticker. And this is probably one of my favorite things. I need to get more of them. I've actually got it on my Warhammer box. So yep, that's my wife. Those are the things she sells. I wasn't going to spend too much time on that because I definitely need to get back to painting, since this is supposed to be a painting channel, not an advertise your wife's stuff channel. So that's what's going on there. I'm going to finish painting this guy now. But yeah, I've been struggling with motivation to get these guys painted for a while, just because there's a ton of them, they're really tiny, and it just felt like a chore. So I'm kind of happy that I'm getting this time right now to knock them all out and at least slap some paint on them so I can move on to the next step and be done with a project. But yeah, I'll have to, I did not do a good job coating this guy with his Zenithal Prime. I'll have to go back to Gear Guts and find a specific STL and see if I can get that made out and then print it up and paint it up for my buddy in Michigan. And that way, if he comes back down, I've got a nice little Christmas gift to give him. Last year, I gave him a Stompa, which I think I showed you guys. It was the giant orc that had the little Grot crew on its back. And I don't think I'm going to be able to top that in terms of sheer size. You let me stream. The D&D group decided that we just chat and save the game for next time because we're all squish-brained. That's absolutely fair. You mentioned when you guys got started that that everyone was kind of tired, so that's fair. Yeah, it was a good one. I liked painting that one a lot, but yeah, that I'm not going to be able to replicate that as a gift for him again because I don't think he can fit another Stompa, and he also doesn't have a need for it. But I think if I were to paint him up some like Terminators, but they were orcs, that might work a little better. Did I accidentally get I got paint on? That's fine. So I'm going to see what I can find on Gear Guts' mech shop, and I'm going to use some really nice resin. And we'll figure all that out. Paint him some nice stuff. And actually, after this, I have another job that I want to do. I have a friend whose birthday is coming up soon. And I don't know if I'll be able to do it in time, but he's a really big fan of Doom and Doom Eternal and that way. So I was making for him a while ago. It was supposed to be a salamander, since that's the chapter he plays, fighting off a horde of Khorne berserkers, bloodletters. And I was going to put it in a 3D frame, so it looked like the Doom pose. And I have a friend who was going to take like a sound card and make it so that when you pressed a button, it would play the original Doom theme and then the modern Doom theme, and then one made with like air horns or something else equally silly. So I think after I finish these Tyranids, that might be the next project I knock off of the to-do list, because that's been sitting there for a while now. So yeah, that'll probably be next in line. I've already got the salamander painted up, the Doom guy. I need to paint, I think, did I? I didn't paint the corn guy. I did paint the corn guy. I just need to touch him up and make him look appropriately bloody and mangled. And then I need to construct the set in the frame. And then I think once I'm done with that, I can put it all together, and that'll be a nice little gift for a friend. But yeah, this guy is about done. This guy's getting there. There he is. There he is. He's red. He's angry. He looks good. Only 5 more to go. I can't believe I painted on his gun without noticing it. But yeah, let me see if I can find it real quick. It's right there. So, here's the salamander, who I kind of need to touch up and make look a little prettier. Like, I could probably put some flame decals up there. I can most definitely do some gold studs on there. Just, you know, give him a little bit more pizzazz. I definitely need to paint his gun a bit better. But, right now, I've got him stabbing through this, this corn bloodletter. So, if this lines up right, it'll basically be running him through with the chainsword. And, will that fit anymore? Did I mess it up? Nope. Okay, no, that'll fit. And, so I need to finish painting this guy. And then I'm gonna have him up on some, on some, rock formation, so it looks like it's the cover of the Doom game. And I've got like a bunch of other blood letters that I can put together and make it look like they're scaling to get to them. And that once I realized I didn't need to have that done by like November, I went, oh, and immediately stopped thinking about it. And so it's just been sitting on my table ever since. But yeah, that's another one that I need to go ahead and cross off the list, because I've got way too many half-finished projects lying about, and I'm in a financial situation where I can't keep adding to the pile, so I feel like now's the time to diminish the pile. And so that is going to be my plan moving forward. But yeah, one of my buddies, the one who got me into Warhammer, he's a sound guy. He's a musician who does like electronic music, and he's helped me with some of these projects. Like, do you remember the Dr. Livesey meme from last year? Which unfortunately is now really kind of out of pocket. It's way gone. No one's thinking about it anymore. But early last year, there was a meme around a rediscovered, like, Eastern European Treasure Island movie. And if you remember, and there was a specific character in it that they made way over the top. Like, all of the animation was very bizarre and kind of not quite done right. And all the character designs were a little weird. And one of them was of Dr. Livesey, who in the original story was just kind of there. He was like he was like a military doctor who helped protect Jim Hawkins throughout the story. And I don't remember him doing much of note, but in the Eastern European Treasure Island, they made him into this monstrous hulk of a human being with a giant unnerving smile and ridiculously good bedside manner. And when they go to meet Long John Silver to recruit, you know, a crew for their ship, the walk cycle they gave to him has like the strongest level of swag I've ever seen, and the internet had ever seen. And someone took a funk song and put it to that walk, and it became a meme for a little while on the internet. And it brought that guy a lot of attention. I think that one song ended up getting like 8 million or 16 million views, while the rest of his stuff was down in the few thousands. So it became very popular. And what I wanted to do before a whole bunch of medical issues happened last year is I wanted to 3D print a giant statue of that Dr. Livesey, and we put a sound card underneath it that would play the song whenever you press the sound card. But unfortunately, 3D printing it became a hassle, and I got very ill, and that also fell to the back burner. So I haven't worked on that one in a while. Okay, well, time for a blast from the past from anyone else who's watching. But I'm going to go ahead and find the Dr. Livesey meme so you can enjoy this stupidity. There's his entrance, there's the funk walk. I wonder if I'm going to find it because it became very popular. Is this it? This is the one I want. Yep, okay, found it. I'm gonna go ahead and hop off the music for a second, even though I love this song. We're gonna go ahead and window capture. Yep, that's all right. There we go. So this is the character, and this is the bit.
Oh, shit.
And that's it. That's the meme. It's just the fact that he's so over-the-top masculine, and for most of the actual movie, he is just this ultimate Giga Chad of a character. They have a scene where he's helping fend off... No, that's not my buddy's song. No. But what he did was he went ahead and put that song on a sound card that I could put underneath a underneath the base of a Dr. Livesey, and I could just make it so you pressed a button and it would play that song. My buddy's name is Soft Servo. The music he makes tends to be a lot more contemplative and thoughtful, and I don't mean to say that that music is thoughtless, but it's very much more of like a funk beat than something you're supposed to sit down and have a good think over. So yeah, no, that was, I don't remember the name of that individual, but he's an independent artist who is on like Instagram and YouTube only. And I don't think he was expecting for that song to explode the way it did. And I don't think he capitalized on it either. I think he was just like, okay, cool, song became popular. Thank you for following me. But what I ended up doing was someone made an STL for that Dr. Livesey, and I printed it at like 500% size. So instead of being, I think, 2 or 3 inches tall, it ended up being like gargantuan. In fact, this guy's done. If you give me a second... Oh no, he's not. I missed a knee. If you give me a second, I can show you what I'm talking about, because he's still sitting on a table right behind me. So let me see, because I finally glued him together. There's the lad. You can see he's quite massive. And he comes with a base. And I was just going to put him on the base. And the base I was going to hollow out at the bottom. And I would just stick it on like a desk. And then kids could walk over and hit the button and hear that ridiculous song. And it would be silly. But I never got around to it because, you know, getting COVID sucks. But yeah, he ended up being, like, I don't know how. I must have nailed the settings when I dialed them in. But he ended up being super good looking in terms of how the print came out. So I will eventually finish this as well. It's just that the joke won't be funny anymore by the time I finish it. Okay. Whoops. No, I didn't mean to hit that. But yeah, so I have a little speaker hooked up to a circuit board, which can be hooked up to a button, which, when played, will play that song. We tend to go very hard once we come up with a stupid idea. Unfortunately, the commitment to follow through is generally not there. So, once the momentum dies, it doesn't kind of sputter and then relax. It just goes completely dead. It's like the gas in the engine is gone. Which is why I'm so committed to getting this done, because I like this idea and I want it to stick, and I don't want it to just sit on the back burner for another year. Like, I think I've mentioned it a lot, but like the Custodes Combat Patrol I have, I bought that specifically to practice non-metallic metal painting, and I've had it now for quite a while, and it's nowhere near done. And I'm getting tired of seeing it only half complete. but after a while, painting non-metallic metal gets, with the exact same non-metallic metal across a bunch of models, gets very tedious. Though I suppose, that's how you get better, right? The worst part is my best friend might be moving in right next door to me. That might actually be good for you if your best friend is into the same shit you are, because you guys will motivate each other to do things. What kind of stops me and my buddy Soft Servo from getting more shit done is that he has a family with 2 small kids, so his time is very much occupied with making sure that they're doing okay. If we were both in our mid-20s, then the world would be our oyster, and we probably might have blown up half of our apartment block by now, if we were still living in an apartment. So, he's into cars, his girlfriend, and video games. Well, then he won't be too big a distraction, hopefully. But that's definitely not a bad set of things to be into, I suppose. Could be worse. I don't know, I had a friend whose brother was into cars, knife fighting, and drugs. So, definitely a better set of hobbies that your friend has. It's just our 2 brains, all the bad ideas. No, see, that's, you gotta stop fighting it, buddy. That's when all the good ideas come about. Unless you guys like to do a whole lot of horrible things recreationally, then you will be fine. That's part of the fun of, getting to be older and being a little more independent, is you can truly see how incredible you are now that you don't have to worry about school. Because you're able to more actively pursue the things you want to pursue. Okay. This painting, I feel like with each one of these, my painting is getting increasingly unhinged, and I'm doing a less good job because I'm getting tired of painting these. We're 2 really good friends, we don't really care at all what people think of it. That's pretty much a good way to keep it. If you guys are in a healthy, good relationship, a friendship, or whatever you want to call it, then you're in the right place. I don't think it can get much better than that. Okay. Let's see what else we got. Can I get in there? Yes, I can. I don't even know if this is in focus anymore. I apologize if it's not, but right now, I really want to hit these parts on his body. There we go. Well, one of the cats just fell off a table. We like to spend our days out and about being dumb. I mean, that sounds fine. Who knows? Maybe you guys will stumble into a job. You'll see like a help wanted sign, and they'll go in there, and then you'll do amazing things at the shop. I have no clue. It's getting late, and I'm getting brain dead too. Paint that up. Paint that up. Yep. I think, my friend, you are looking good. He has a job already? Well, maybe he can help you get one. I don't know, I'm reaching here. Well, I mean, even vibing is pretty cool. The fact that you got a friend you can just vibe with, you know? Not every moment needs to be hyperactive. Oh my god, I'm down to the last 3. Let's go. I'm trying to think, do I have any other dumb stuff? Do I have any other dumb fun stuff I can show off while I'm here? Because the Livesey meme kind of is the big one. I found that entire movie on YouTube for free. And it is truly cursed, especially now that we have a much better grasp on studio animation. That movie is very hard to watch. The Return to Treasure Island is very odd. Nothing moves the way it should, and it's got a lot of squash and stretch that's meant to give it cartoony features, but between the semi-grotesque designs of the characters and the uneven frame rate of the production, it just ends up looking like a lost footage type movie. Or as one of my friends calls it, a crack house VHS. Which are like, the movies that you would only ever find in a crack den. which are like those weird cryptid movies that only 3 kids in the entire world have watched, and you happen to be one of them. And that's the kind of energy that Return to Treasure Island gives off. What makes it even better is that they dubbed it. So there's a version with like British English dubbing over it, and that is it's pretty fantastic, but it doesn't match the joy that the he was Kazakh? He was either Kazakh or like Ukrainian. The original voice actor for Livesey had. He had a joie de vivre when he did that character. And what I thought was really funny was when the meme was at its highest point, they apparently tracked down the actor and on TikTok got him to repeat some of the lines in his character voice. And he looked to be having a darn good time, so good for him. Okay, let's see, can I get in there? Yes, I can. I haven't been able to paint like this in a really long time. I mean, you can probably tell just by watching me, but I'm definitely not doing a lot of precise painting right now. Pretty much all of the painting I'm doing has been very sloppy, it's been very slapped on. I'm clearly not paying attention to borders and clean lines. And I really haven't been able to paint like this in a while because everything I've done has tried to be fairly detailed, you know, pieces, as opposed to mass painting an army. Even when I am trying to paint an army of Space Marines quickly, for example, I'm still really working hard to make sure that they look really good and look really clean. With the Tyranids, I'm really just slapping this paint on and going. And if I mess up, oh well, it'll look fine tomorrow. So hopefully I'm not wrong and this ends up all looking pretty decent when tomorrow rolls around and I'm not going to regret my decisions. Get a little bit in there, get a little bit in there, a little bit in there, a little bit on there, get a little bit off of his yeah. But yeah, there we go. 2 more. I don't know if I'm going to have enough paint in here, if I'm going to need to get more. Yeah, that's kind of what it is. I'll be happy when I'm done with these guys. Oh, were you here when I was finishing up the Turnip 28 guys? Because I think for all intents and purposes I'm done with them. I don't feel like I want to do any more with them. And they're going to look fine for when I have my dirty little army of idiots for Turnip 28. Because I know for a fact I had them, and I started the stream by kind of finishing them off, but I don't recall when you popped in. Okay, don't think you were here, sadly. Well, that's okay. I've got them right here. As a matter of fact, let's see. All I really did with them was add some grass tufts and dirty up their base a little bit. So, golly, I really did accidentally nail the cheeks on this guy, didn't I? So, they're all kind of covered in a thin layer of Agrax Earthshade, and I muddied up the base, and I painted it up a bit, painted the rocks, and now they just all kind of look like dirty peasants. So, I'm pretty happy with how they all turned out. I still have some of my favorites. Like, I still love this guy. I still think he's the best looking of the bunch. But yeah, they all just are meant to look like they've got weird growths of vegetation coming out of them. And they're all just kind of dealing with it. So hopefully that comes across with them. And when I actually get to play with them, they'll all die honorable deaths. Because I have no delusions that they'll last any longer in a fight than if I had just taken some cardboard and painted faces on it. Okay, continue along with these guys. So I hit 100 followers not too long ago, and I've been hemming and hawing about what I should paint to celebrate hitting 100 followers. And I think I finally came up with it, and I think it's going to make some people real mad, but I do not care. I don't know if you've seen the Maid Marines, or if I've talked about them at all, but they're one of my favorite things in the 40k fandom because they're so stupid. There was a meme of an Imperial Knight dressed in a maid outfit, and yeah, Maid Marines, and the Imperial Knight was dressed in like a pretty girl maid outfit, and they had a caption of it like stomping across the battlefield to go greet you. So someone did an audio transcription of the bit through its, like, you know, giant Imperial Knight war horn, and an artist thought that that was the funniest shit ever, so they went ahead and made it. They like painted it up, and then they decided to expand, and they started doing Space Marines that were all maids. And I think they eventually decided for the fiction, for the backstory, is that hey, beautiful, is that they're actually the lost Second Legion, and the Primarch is a Catgirl maid, and yeah, the entire thing is maid themed, and it's ridiculous, and it's silly, and it's dumb, and someone made an STL of a Maid Marine. So I was thinking I would paint one of those up for the stream, just because it'd be funny to paint a Maid Marine. And I think, simply because it's going to be a surprise, I'm not going to post any pictures of it until I start painting it. So one of these days, I'm just going to come on and be like, hey guys, I've got a surprise. And then I'm going to bring the Maid Marine out, who at that point will be primed and zenithal, because I don't want to have to do those steps live. And then I will begin making her the prettiest bolter-carrying Maid Marine ever. And it'll just be another fun statue to add to my collection. That was the other thing I was going to bring out. It was the Boss Snickrot, but I think I already showed you guys that, so that can wait while I finish these things. So what's your opinion on the new Tyranids? Because they've got some new Tyranids coming out. They've got some resculpts of some of the older Tyranids. They've got, like, the... Gosh, I can't remember what it's called. The Elish something or other, or the Norn something or other. They've got some really weird, really neat new models coming out, some of which are huge. And they've got some resculpts, like they resculpted the Gene Stealers, they resculpted the Biovore slash Pyrovore, I think? I don't recall. You like them? You think they're good? I wish I had the money to spend on them, because they are a lot of fun. But I have enough to paint. I'm excited for them to eventually finish that line, so we can just ooh and awe at how beautiful these models are. Okay, I wonder... No, I need more paint. I am starting to... They're doing an amazing job with the new minis. Yeah, I can agree to that. I honestly think that the Space Marines are a little uninspired, but I mean, it's really hard to be super creative with Space Marines. They've got a fairly straightforward look about them. I think the only thing they could really do to make them better is to put a ton of, like, the old antiquities on them. Like the old Purity Seals and the Reliquaries and all of the stuff that Space Marines used to have dangling off of their armor, that are kind of missing on the new Primaris lines. If they brought those back, I think those would be the only real way they could make the Marines pop more. Because right now, they all look kind of too clean and utilitarian to be Marines. But that's because they're the new Primaris line, which is meant to be slicker and more refined than the last line, or whatever it is. I don't know anymore. But that's not much of a criticism, because, again, they're very pretty sculpts. I think they're doing as good a job as Games Workshop could do. There we go. There we go. There we go. Painted red. I'm so close to being done, and I'm out of paint. And so yeah, you've seen the new Fulgrim. I'm sorry, I'm still stuck on him. I want to start an Emperor's Children army, and that Fulgrim looks amazing, but I don't want to start a Heresy Emperor's Children army. I want to start a 40k Emperor's Children army. And so I am just waiting with bated breath for them to announce that one of the new armies for this season, this edition, is the Emperor's Children, and they're going to release a Demon Primarch Fulgrim with him, and then I'm going to cry because he's going to be a lot of money. But that is okay. Let's see, can I... yeah, I actually was able to hit that. Very nice. Yeah, I'm strongly considering getting a Chaos Space Marine Combat Patrol and like a Noise Marine upgrade sprue so that I can get started on an Emperor's Children army. And it's really funny. I don't know if you've read any of the Horus Heresy books, but like the Emperor's Children started off as one of my least favorite legions, and it wasn't until Angel Exterminatus that I really kind of became a fan because of just how mustache-twirlingly evil and psychotic Fulgrim had become. He'll probably be more expensive than Morty and the others. I think the resin one will be, yeah. That one's way too big a model and way too intricate a model to not be like $200, you know? But they've been pretty good about keeping the plastic sculpts down in price, at least from what I've seen. Because like Angron was a pretty big model, and he stayed at like 150, 160 bucks, I believe. He's I think the same price as Magnus and Morty. So I don't see them making the Emperor's Children one more expensive. And honestly, that's more just me hoping than anything. Who knows what Games Workshop is up to nowadays. Okay, paint the butt, paint the butt. Paint the butt, paint the butt. And then next will be a very long assembly line of dry brushing, because I have not dry brushed any of the guys I've painted already, except for the characters. So there's going to be a lot... Oh, no, next I need to, not dry brush. I'm going to need to wash. And thankfully, I was smart enough, I actually bought an extra bit of purple wash to use, because I realized I was running low, and purple wash is a great starter for muzzle burn. Okay, those guys are all done. Let's see, what else do I have on working? It looks like I moved everything out of the way. I'm gonna put this guy here so there's something to look at while I clean some of this. Where are the rest of them? So yeah, I don't know if you've seen a lot of the rest of my Tyranids, but they've all pretty much got the same look about them. This guy, other than touching up his base and touching up his face a little bit, he's pretty much done, right? You can see he's pretty good. He's been dry brushed, so he has a brighter white carapace. He looks pretty darn good. This is the Screamer Killer, who I apparently did not put any magnets on. Oh, I didn't put any magnets on any of these guys. I don't remember what these ones are called. Psychophage, I think. I need to... That's what I can do. I need to paint that arm to be a Space Wolf arm. So I think I'm going to do that. These guys, I need to move out of the way, because I'm all done with you, so I can put you away. I've got them magnetized in an old Christmas ornament, like, organizer, that I am not using to organize Christmas ornaments. So I need to... Whoops, there he goes. I'm going to find space for all of this, and then I'm going to do some touch-up work on the Psychophage, because that lad is not done enough yet. Let's put the Haru specs in there. Can I fit you in there? I can. Move this back over here. Okay. What can I do with this guy? What can I do with this guy? I think I'm just going to go ahead and really carefully hit the that dealie right there, because that's the big one that he needs to work on. First, I'm gonna clean the red. Actually, no, I'm not gonna clean the red. I might need that. I think I'm gonna go ahead and paint that arm, that glove. I'm not very good at Space Wolf colors. I've never done Space Wolf colors. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna paint it a really... I have a dark blue. Why didn't I just put out a dark blue? I'm gonna go ahead and paint it a dark blue, and then go over it with a gray, and use that to kind of inform the color so it has kind of that snowy blue-gray. And hopefully that will look adequately Space Wolfy enough. I don't know. We're about to find out. Okay. Whoa. That paint seems to have sealed itself up. Let's go ahead and take that. There we go. Okay, I'm going to use some Scale 75 Deep Blue, which has become kind of my default dark blue paint, just because it's in general so darn good, and works really nicely as a shade to like a black color. So I'm pretty darn fond of it. But yeah, so Scale 75 Dark Blue, we're going to just get it all over. Because when I airbrushed this, I did so with a devil-may-care attitude. And that ended up making the entire thing kind of a dirty brown. Which is clearly not the color we're going for with Senior Wolfo over here. So, I'm just going to go ahead and hit it. Where it... Oh my gosh, I can't see what I'm doing. Can I see what I'm doing? Yeah, I saw what I was doing. And this is where not painting this before I put it together was something I really should have done. But yeah, we're going to hit this with a dark blue. And that'll work as a base shade, a recess color, or whatever you want to call it, for the rest of the model. And now, I'm actually going to switch over to a nicer brush, because I'm going to be needing to do some more subtle paint work on this thing. Let's see. I can get rid of most of this red. I don't think I'm going to need it anymore. And you can see, especially after hitting it with the purple wash and then dry brushing it again with the red, how much like deeper, more crimson-y the red looks on that model versus how it looks on a lot of the little infantry troops. So I honestly didn't do a lot more work on this guy. I just hit him with a dry brush and a wash, and it really brought out a lot of details that are otherwise not super noticeable on the Tyranids, like carapace and whatnot. So pretty glad that that turned out okay. I need this. Okie dokie, see you in a minute. Okay, I got some of this light gray. Gonna mix a little bit of that with the blue. If it ever actually comes out, there it goes. And we're gonna layer our way up to make me spend more time on this Space Wolf than I have on any other part of any of the Tyranids. Because that's how irony works. So yeah, let's go ahead. Take a little bit of that Fenrisian, or that light gray that I'm using. Mix it together with a little bit of the dark blue. Give us this strange kind of pale blue color. And now, on all the spots that warrant it, we're going to hopefully be visible. Welcome back. We're going to hopefully make fairly visible paint lines that kind of show off the light reflection of the armor. And this will allow me to keep some very, very dark splotches on the armor, but also give your eyes some highlights to stare at. And I think my favorite part about this process is I'm just making it up. I have no clue what I'm doing. This is purely instinct at this point. Sounded like someone was in your driveway. That's unsettling. Hey, it's 2 in the morning. I'm in front of your house. I'm in your walls. Have a good night. So same thing, since this part's very exposed to the light, we're gonna go ahead and hit this really good with the paler color. I'm gonna try and leave that as recessed as possible. And you can probably see what I'm doing here. This isn't obviously Space Wolf Gray yet, but I'm slowly gonna work my way up using, well, not slowly, using very light, thin strokes of lighter colors. It's 3 a.m. Sounds like someone's walking around outside. That's not good. You think maybe it's a transient or an inebriated individual? Not the most fun thing. Yeah, definitely not. Far from the funnerest thing. No, that's Body Glove. Wow, they just ripped his arm straight off. Body Glove and all. So yeah, now you can see that there's some like deep shadow down there. I think I heard a car door, then steps. That's definitely not fun. I hope everything's okay over there. I would say blink twice if you need help, but I can't see you blink. By the way, be careful. Keep high alert about that, okay? Whatever I'm doing is definitely second most important to what's happening. Yeah, definitely, right? Got that fight or flight happening. Okay, so now a little bit of the white over the blue. Well, not white. This is actually a gray. A little bit of the Fenrizzi, or the light gray over the blue. And hopefully what this will do when I'm done with it is read as a Space Wolf's arm that has been ripped off and is being dragged forward by the Psychophage. I have some means of protection on me, but still on edge. Understandable. You never want to have to use that stuff. It's there more for peace of mind than it is for practical use. Right? So hopefully it will be completely unnecessary, and it's just some guy, some person returning home from night shift, and they're just going back to their place. Okay, so again, same thing here. And this is actually why having a good brush with a good tip is so damn important. I can't do this with a less good brush, with a less good tip. The fact that the tip on a Winsor & Newton brush is so strong, I'm honestly considering going out to check if someone, or if it was a cat doing stuff. That's always a possibility too. It might just be an animal, you know, prowling around, which would definitely be preferred. Okay, continue making the layers. Layer up. Continue making the layers. Layer up. I should probably learn how to do this for real, because I am legitimately just making this up right now. Let's go ahead and hit those with a little bit of light so they show up a little bit better. Hit that with a little bit of light so it shows up a little bit better. Hit the fingy tips with a little bit of light. Thing is that though, my neighbors are older people. From what I've seen the last couple of years, they've always been home when I get home from school. Ugh. Yeah, I don't know what to tell you. Just, you know, keep an eye on your six. Be careful. I would say don't be afraid to call the police if more suspicious activity is afoot. Strange economic activity is afoot. Okay, let's go ahead and... So overall, I think it's real pretty. The other neighbors are right across from my age, but one studies and the other one works, and I'd hear them leaving too. That's fair. This looks real pretty, but it doesn't read as Space Wolf to me. Oh well, you're just gonna try not to think about it too much? That's fair. Yeah, I mean, especially right now, there's not a whole lot you can do about it, I guess. Needs fur? Yeah, that is true, but right now I'm just trying to go for the armor, which I know is kind of a pale blue. And... no, I think... actually, that doesn't look too bad. I think it reads. I think it reads okay. I'm pretty happy with that. I can't believe I spent more time on that than I did on the rest of the Psychophage. That was more detail put into that one piece. Hey, Isidore, how's it going? Thank you for the raid, I appreciate it. Yay, Falling Freely, thank you for the follow. I'm eventually going to paint a Maid Marine for hitting 100 follows not too long ago. But right now, I'm painting up a bunch of Tyranids in the color scheme of Phyrexians. So hopefully, they're all going to look really great. I just painted the arm that the Psychophage is swallowing, which is supposed to read as a Space Wolf arm. I hope it do. Let's see, what else can I do to that, though? I think it needs some blood. So we're going to get some blood from the Blood God, and I'm going to mix it up, and then I'm going to just completely coat the bottom half of it with it. Mix, 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 mix. So, be right back. I'm gonna go check what it was. It's driving me nuts. Understandable. Please be careful. Bring protection. Be safe. So, Isidore, you missed out on it, but Swedish Muppet Guy heard some noises coming from around their apartment, their house. And unfortunately, it's 3 a.m. where they are, so these are not normal, typical noises. This is clearly not okay. So hopefully, they're gonna go find out what it is, and everything's gonna be fine, and no one's gonna be hurt. Okay. I think, wow, that ended up being a lot more blood than I don't want to say than I meant it to be, but it kind of makes sense that the stump end is going to have a lot more yuck on it. I think that'll do. And I can just let that dry. How am I doing? I'm doing okay. I'm really tired because the school year is already kicking my ass and whatnot, but I'm moving along. I am painting a bunch of Tyranids that I got from the Leviathan box, and they are being painted in the style of Phyrexians from Magic of the Gathering. And I just spent more time painting this little arm than I have on like this entire body, because I came up with a scheme that is remarkably easy to do for said Tyranids. But yeah, I just decided that I needed to do something with the arm. I'm probably going to send a picture to my buddy who plays Space Wolves and, you know, have a laugh with him, because he's got a couple of corpses of Imperial Fists on his Chaos models. So, I decided I needed to be a little bit cheeky and do one of a Space Wolf arm. But yeah, I'm not trying to make these look beautiful, just look tabletop ready, because I got a buddy who has a vendetta against these things, and I want to help him kill some bugs. I will be right back. In the meantime, I guess you can look at this guy right there. I don't think I can zoom, but I'll be right back. Okay. So like recently, another one of these, I was working on this guy, and he's pretty close to done. Like, I don't really see much that I want to do with him. Oh no, never mind. He's got a little Space Marine dude down there that's kind of dirtied up, and I want him to be gross and pale and look like the creep is getting to him. So I've got to redo that face. And I think what I'm going to do for that, because I actually have some, is I'm going to use some Ruckhearth flesh, which, if I recall properly, is a far more pallid flesh tone. Couldn't find anything, so hopefully you don't hear any more noise. Yeah, that sounds good. No more noise. I prefer that news over any other news. So I realized as I was looking through them again that this guy's head right here needs to be done in. He ended up getting sprayed brown because of me spraying the base, and I can't have that. He's supposed to look like he's dead and or dying. So, I'm gonna go ahead and coat him with like a chalky white. You're gonna settle it with being a cat pushing something over. That's fair. Actually, do I need a chalky white? No, I think I'm going to go with the brown will work fine. So I'm gonna use some Rakarth flesh, and I'm gonna work my way up to pale sand, because pale sand is a good white. Okay, so... Oh gosh, oh no, oh no. Someone put some Play-Doh in the tip of this dropper bottle. Just joking, it's the Rakarth flesh being disgusting and desiccated. Okay, delivery driver, of course you do, right? You are just not having a good night in terms of being paranoid. And also, why the heck is a delivery driver arriving at like 3 in the morning? That seems a bit intense. Good gravy. Oh, you guys can actually see my my model jumping because it can hear the mixer. No? Okay, he's not. Fantastic. That did not sit right. That Rakarth flesh came out as muck, so I'm gonna get rid of that, and I'm gonna remix it a bit, and we're gonna try that again. We get our mail delivered around 3 to 5 a.m. Good lord. In the United States, that is definitely not the case. Our mail person comes at like 10 in the morning, 10 a.m. Okay, so back to the Winsor & Newton brush, I suppose. Back to the fancy pants brush, and let's go ahead and put some pale flesh on the guy. Just the general mail. Yeah, no, we're lucky to get our deliveries at, like, before the afternoon. So let's go ahead with the lips. Get the nose. Good, so everyone will have today's paper at the beginning of the day. Yeah, the newspaper thing in the United States has kind of died off, and they have a separate independent newspaper delivery system where the actual newspaper company will hire couriers to deliver the paper for them. It's entirely privatized, and they only deliver to people who subscribe, which is a whole thing. But yeah, just another example of the American machine working, right? Yeah, so it's interesting to me that there is... Oh, thank you for the follow, Muzzaguts. I appreciate it. What a cool name. I'm painting a face on a Space Marine with far more detail than I did anything else on this model. But since he's dead, I've got to make him look appropriately desiccated, and I'm not exactly sure how to do that. So, I'ma try? I suppose we're gonna I'm right now applying some Rakarth flesh just to make him look real pallid. And eventually, I think I'm gonna highlight it up with some pale sand, which will really drive home how pasty white he is now that he's dead and he's having part of his brain sucked out of his head or whatever. Muzza is my favorite potato. I don't even know. I'm too tired to understand what's going on anymore. Let's see. I think that looks pretty okay. I think he's gonna look fine. And so now I'm gonna move on to the pale sand. So if you just give me a second. And then we'll see what I can do from there. So yeah, I probably should introduce myself since we've had some people hop in. I have no idea how many are sticking around. I am Ben Repaints. I am a small-time painter out of Virginia in the United States. I just usually kind of chill, and I paint Warhams dudes or other miniatures or whatever else catches my fancy. Right now, I am painting up some Tyranids in the style of Phyrexians from Magic the Gathering, because the paint scheme looks like it'll be easy and it will pop on the tabletop. So that's all I'm kind of working on. I'm a school teacher by day, so usually I stream right after I get home around 4:30 or 4:30 to 5 or 6 o'clock p.m. Eastern time, EST, I guess. And so this is an uncommonly late stream for me. Thank you guys for being here. Celeblome, thank you. Celeblome? I don't know. Thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Right now, I am just trying to highlight this little corpsey guy so he looks appropriately corpsey. He's being highlighted using a pale sand combination right now. And I'm not even sure if I'm hitting the right spots. Highlighting faces is always weird to me. But I think he looks appropriately dead and drained. Hard C, like, okay, Celeblome? Thank you. I appreciate you correcting me. I teach a lot of kids who have names that people usually give up on, and I never want to be that guy. And so there's a good chance I'm going to mess it up again. And if I do, please correct me again. But I never want to be that guy who keeps mispronouncing people's names. It's not fun. So I appreciate you you helping me there. Okay, I hope you have a great stream. Time to sleep. Go to bed! Thank you. I have been having a good stream. I'm going to continue having a good stream. I hope you have a good night's sleep, because that is all too rare nowadays. So go to bed. Have a good evening. Good night. What I think I'm going to do is I'm also going to make this guy a space wolf, because it's Elvish from Lord of the Rings. That does make sense. I used to read Lord of the Rings a lot when I was very little, and I don't anymore just because I've kind of fallen out of it. But I've always marveled at the depth and breadth of the culture that Tolkien created. And I know that's kind of a very bland statement to make on Lord of the Rings, but that's always the thing I think of when I think of Lord of the Rings, is that man made an entire universe with its own mythology and whatnot, and that's super freaking cool. Okay, but yeah, so I think, well, unfortunately I can't make this guy a space wolf because he's got nothing space wolfy about him. He's just a librarian of some kind. He doesn't have any facial hair, he's not a rune priest. There's nothing fun I can really do with him. So I guess the thing I'm going to do with him is I'm going to put a lot of blood at the stump of his neck. Because it's like, what else is there? I don't get to have any fun with this guy. I'm going to be a little bit lazy with it again. I'm just going to use a ton of blood for the blood god. Put it around the stump of his neck. Put it around the base of the mini. And hopefully it will read as though his head had been ripped off, and now that this horrifying eldritch monstrosity is hovering over him, it is absorbing his life force. Let's see. Get a big old gob of that. And then right here, right at the base of the neck, just smear it all around. So how does that look, eh? It's like Celeborn, but his name means Silver Tree, and my name means Silver Twilight. Very neat. I didn't know that. The name Celeborn sounds a lot more familiar to me, though I wouldn't know it from, because my engagement with Lord of the Rings has become very minimal. In spirit, you know it's a space wolf. Yes, I definitely do. For those just joining me, I don't know if you guys heard me muttering about it earlier, but one of my friends is a space wolf player, and I have no problem with that. But Galadriel's husband, one of the Elven Kings. That's why I remember it. It's been a long time, but that's why I remember it. But he plays Space Wolves, and that's all good and fine. But he went on to do Chaos Space Marines, and he asked me to paint them for him, which I was very happy to do because it was a new challenge. And he did a set of Chaos Possessed, but for the Chaos Possessed, he had one of them with like a Space Marine corpse underneath, and he asked me explicitly to paint it like an Imperial Fist, which is my army. So I had to be like, you're an asshole, but I'm gonna do the best Imperial Fist corpse you've ever seen. And that's kind of what happened. I ended up doing what I thought was a pretty good Space Marine corpse. Let me see if I can find the mini real quick to show off. I think, yeah, that's it. Okay, so where is it? Boop! This guy right here. Seems fitting for me to get some revenge. Exactly. So yeah, I painted this up. He actually gave me this cool Turbo Dork color shift paint that creates this great gradient between purple to blue, depending on how you've angled the mini and how the light's hitting it. But I painted that Imperial Fist guy down there, and I gave him some busted up 3D prints of Imperial Fists I did, which he's used as corpses for other work. And Oh, we need to trim Tuna's nails. He just attacked my foot. Yeah, if you want to do that before we go to bed, we definitely can. Just so you guys know, Art by QB is my wife. She hopped in just to say hi and to add to the chaos. And so she's upstairs in her office, and I'm downstairs in the basement in my office. But yeah, I had to kill an Imperial Fist for him, and I had to kill a bunch more, so every chance I get, just for kicks and giggles, I have been painting his army as my corpses. And that's been a lot of fun. So like with the, do I even have him in here? The lieutenant that came with the Leviathan box, he ended up getting painted too with a Hive Fleet Jormungandr. I don't have him in here. Tyranid down there because that's what that friend is playing. So yep, let's see. Is this any good? Yeah, whoops. Uh-oh. I seem to have lost connection with my phone, which is my current camera. So if you give me a second, I'm going to try and reconnect the Camo Studio. Not Bixby. I don't care about Bixby. And we'll see what I can do here. Okay, it's not connected. Wi-Fi button to Camo Studio. I'm going to go ahead and close out the video capture device so you don't accidentally get, like, anything goofy. Pair device. Connecting to my S3. There we go. That worked out fine. Boom! There we go. So yeah, no, it's gone again. It died. What are you doing? Camo is something. I think this might be a good indicator that it's time for me to stop. Camo Studio is the app that I use on my phone to let me do the stream, right? And right now it's deciding that I'm not allowed to stream, I guess. So, or that I'm not allowed to use the video footage anymore. Come on, Fingerprint. So let's go back to Camo. Let's pair a device. It's connected. It's all good. Gonna slide that back in there. Gonna do that, and already it's frozen again. Yeah, I think Camo is telling me it's time to go. So thank you for joining me, guys. Oh, I accidentally hicked on the be right back instead of clicking off. So yeah, I think it's time for me to go. My phone doesn't want to play anymore. I wish I could. I wish feeding the camera phone chocolate worked. But unfortunately, I don't think that's going to be the case. That's so weird. It's working fine when I take it off the harness, but when I put it on the harness, it's being dorky. One moment. That's obviously not going to work. I don't need that. Oh, wow. No, I think Camo just really pooped the bed. That is unfortunate. Okay. Well, are we rating anybody? That's a good idea. I always forget to do that, so thank you for reminding me. Let's see if anyone fun is on. Yeah, I needed to get off anyway. It was about 9:30, and I need to go to bed soon. Let's see. Do I have anyone fun doing the Warhams? Communities, feature clips I think you like, art channels, game time, recently released game streams. Oh, Onsta is offline. Let's see. Where can I find Warhammer? I need me a Warhammer. Emerald Hando is streaming. They are, let's see, Red Scarecrow, Next Level Painting. Let's go to Next Level Painting. Let's have some fun with that. So we're gonna raid Next Level Painting. How about that? Oh, Broken Eyed, are they awake? /raid. Broken Eyed. Okay, let's go ahead and raid Broken Eyed since you suggested them. Thank you guys for joining me. I really do appreciate it. I guess I will see you later. So thank you again, and bye-bye. I'll see you later. Okay, so...
Threw me off. Labor Day threw me off a little bit. So get back to turn. Swedish Muppet guy. Hey again, how's it going?